A Spearfish woman has been painting and selling watercolor paintings for 30 years. Much of her focus, the animals that have come to symbolize ranching, rodeo, and the Western life. She's well known in the art community, and when you see her work, it's no wonder she's a success as we go along the way to the Northern Hills. Artist Kathy Siegel's studio out toward the edge of Spearfish may as well be a sanctuary for both peace and passion.
It's just a God-given talent, and I just have that drive, to create, to paint, or to draw, or whatever. And I never have to force myself to go into the studio. It's just always want to do it.
Siegel is not a historian, rather an artist, preserving in watercolor a living, breathing piece of Americana.
I've been painting on a surface that's got a clay surface, so it's actually a hardboard. And then I can spray it with a varnish when I'm done, and so there's no glass needed on the original. And on that surface, images, keys to a life that transcends decade after decade and generation after generation. So I go out to local ranches, and we used to raise horses, and I, grew up drawing them. So I now paint a lot of horses and cattle and bison. And those horses and cattle and bison she speaks of are for the most part based on real-life animals. There's a few that I may take 2 photographs and put together to create a whole different horse, The photographs she gathers firsthand, like these members of the regionally known birch bucking bulls. Then after I probably shot hundreds and hundreds of photos, I go through them and pick out which ones I want to use. And I've chosen 4 here. And when she's done, those 4 will appear in one scene. See, this bull is this one, this and this, and he's here and he's here. And I may tweak the color a little bit or his spots. She works on 2 or 3 paintings at a time, saying she's never really kept track of how much time it takes for each one. This one is called Be Still and Know. So I painted in the whole thing yellow and then came in and drew the graphite buffalo, and I did the raised background here. This guy was a rodeo horse, an athlete, she says. I like the attitude that he's projecting here. The ears are really expressive of attitude, and this is a war bridle. And so I thought, well, if he's got a war bridle, I'll put the feathers in. Each animal with a story, each piece composed with character. The background is built up when you touch it, and it's a raised surface. And so I incorporated the petroglyph feel with that one. This one, at least 20 horses. They're all rough stock horses. They range together in a pasture area while they're not being used for the rodeo. And for some, seeing these animals makes for misty eyes. And I think it's helping, it's causing them to relate to whatever their grandfather did or their parents did, or what they're doing, and it's a life that's fading if we're not careful, the ranch life. But sealed in vivid living color in each piece, brushed with Kathy Siegel's signature. While her pictures conjure images of history, they're marketed the modern way on her Facebook and Instagram pages. You can also find her work in a gallery on the 2nd floor of Prairie Edge in downtown Rapid City. If you've met somebody cool along the way, please call or email us to let us know. And by the way, she and her husband Jim have they've been married 38 years, but he handles making the prints for her paintings right at home, so they cut out the middleman there.
Well, smart. I mean, her paintings are so detailed, so I think it's really cool that she kind of goes out, she photographs them herself. That shows what an even more advanced artist she is. She's not just got one medium, but multi that go into this. So what struck you the most out there?
Well, I grew up near a big city near Minneapolis. This is ranch territory, so I didn't know much about horses. She grew up with horses, and she told me that their ears are actually very expressive, that you can tell what a horse is thinking by the direction of their ears. I would have never guessed it, and then I believe it was her husband who said something to the effect of, if they pin back their ears, look out. That means they're not happy.
Oh, like a cat. I could see that, definitely.
Yeah. So now I know. If I see that, I'll head the other direction.